Hello, I'm Marky Dragon, also known as Marcus Eikenberry in real life, and I'm here with Craig. Now, Craig, we're at your place, which is Frankie's Patriot BBQ, right?
Correct.
And you're a local business here in Clearwater, Tampa, or no, Clearwater, Florida. Sorry, I'm closer to
Tampa Bay area.
Tampa Bay area, there we go. And so I wanted to talk to you today about some of the stuff, some of the challenges that you have as a business, and some of the things that you've overcome and how you've overcome them. Because to the people who are watching here, they are all either practicing entrepreneurs or they want to be entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And obviously, you owning a business here and running this makes you an entrepreneur.
Yes, sir.
And you're also a great cook. So
they say.
So they say. Well, I had some for lunch, and I can say I ate all of it. There was nothing left.
That's a good thing.
I would say that's pretty good marks.
Yeah.
So let's start out by tell me, what is Frankie's Patriot BBQ? How did it come to exist?
Well, Frankie's Patriot BBQ is a restaurant that is named after Corporal Frank Robert Gross. Frankie was our son. He was killed in action 16 July 2011 in Afghanistan. And shortly after Frankie was killed in action, I decided to quit corporate America. I had a great job. I had a actually it was a very cushy job. The briefcase, company car, all expenses paid, the whole 9 yards. And I decided to walk away from it one day because I wanted to open my own restaurant. I've always been in the food business, and I started in the food business back when I was 13 years old in my uncle's restaurant in New York. And so I decided, you know, it's time for me to go out on my own. And I really believe that my son gave me the courage to do that. And I wanted to open a barbecue restaurant. And I really didn't have a name for it when I decided to open the restaurant. And one day I was driving down the road and I started thinking, wow, it'd be really cool to have a place that is very veteran-centric, something that really reaches out to the veteran community.
And by the way, I want to mention one thing for international viewers. We're in the United States, and we're talking like U.S. military. U.S.
military, yes. And so I started thinking of the name Patriot BBQ, and then, you know, I said, you know, Frankie's Patriot BBQ, that just had a ring to it. So I called up a friend of mine who was a barbecue restaurant consultant in Kansas City, and I told him about my idea. He really liked it a lot, and so he said, yeah, Craig, I'm coming down, I'll help you get open. And Skip came down and really helped us, you know, formulate our recipes and everything. Taught us how to cook a lot of the products that we weren't really familiar with. I knew how to smoke chicken, I knew how to smoke fish, I knew how to smoke the pork, but I didn't really have a lot of knowledge as far as brisket and a couple other items. So he helped me fine-tune some of those recipes and everything. And we opened up May the 3rd of 2013. So we've been open now for 4 years, and we've done very, very well.
I think that that one thing that you've done here, which is really, really good, is that you've taken a purpose or a focus of your son and the military and everything, and you've turned it into this, you know, this restaurant, this atmosphere, and kind of this drive and inspiration for why this place exists.
Absolutely.
Do you think that people come here just because this is a kind of a veteran establishment and because of, you know, the history of it?
Absolutely. I would say that I can't really put an exact number on it, but 60% plus of our customers are veterans that come in on a regular basis, and they come in because it is Frankie's Patriot BBQ. It's a place that they call their own watering hole, so to speak. It's a place where they feel very comfortable. They know that they're honored and recognized because we do give all veterans, first responders, and senior citizens a discount when they come into my restaurant. And so yeah, there's more to it than just the food.
I think that's very, very smart. If you had set out in the beginning to say, this is our marketing plan and our secondary purpose and everything, people would have been like, you're brilliant. But you just kind of, it's just how it happened.
Yeah, it really was something that kind of evolved.
It's a very positive thing from such a tragedy.
Yes.
And it's amazing. I think it's very inspiring.
Well, thank you. You know, the thing is that whenever somebody loses a child, whether it's in a car accident or, you know, they die from cancer or whatever, it's a very, very sad thing. It's a very different dynamic when you lose a son in war. Your life is going to change drastically. And that's what happened to us, me and my wife, Tony. We had no idea what was going to happen with our lives. And we were determined from the very day that we found out, and we sat down, we were finally able to talk about what had happened. And it kind of, you know, it was probably several weeks after that we sat down, we had a really serious talk. You know, are we going to be bitter or are we going to be better?
Oh, I love that term, bitter or better.
Yeah, and we decided to take, you know, you got two doors that you can go through, so to speak. And so we decided to be better and to try to help people who are going through the same things that we're going through. We're trying to help them as well. And so that's where we're at today.
Yeah, I think it's great, absolutely great. So let me ask you about on the entrepreneurial side here.
Yes.
So you've had some challenges in these 4 years of business, and I think just making it 4 years, that you're already kind of in that zone where you can say you've been successful.
Yes.
But I'm sure it hasn't been easy to get here.
No, sir.
So tell me about some of the biggest obstacles to getting us here today that you've had to overcome.
Probably there's one of the biggest obstacles obviously is staying liquid as a company.
Cash flow.
Cash flow is king. And there's been many times where we were right down to the very bottom of the barrel. Well, for example, we were in Tarpon Springs, Florida for 3 years, and then we decided to move down here to the Pinellas County area. I closed my location up in Tarpon Springs and opened up down here. The transition was supposed to be close September 1st up there, open September 2nd here.
It never goes that smooth.
It didn't work out quite as well as we planned. Actually, what had happened was, and I won't get into all the gory details and everything, but things did not go as planned. Murphy's Law kicked in, and it always does. And we ended up opening 3 months, 90 days later than expected. I made a big mistake by closing my first business down before opening this one. But having said that, when we opened our doors here on December the 2nd, I had $87 left in my checking account.
Let me tell you, I heard this story and I thought to myself, I've been there.
And done that and bought the t-shirt. Yeah.
I've done that too. And it's that, see, people who are not entrepreneurs don't understand this.
Yes.
They're like, you are an idiot. You know?
Yeah.
That's exactly what they think.
Yeah.
And
why did you ever do anything underfunded in the first place?
Right, right. But as an entrepreneur, I know that myself, I'm like, I have this vision, I've got this path, and I'm damn sure gonna do it. And even if I go negative in the money, I'm still driving toward that, and you have to kill me to get me to stop.
Yeah, well, there's an old saying, and I think that a lot of entrepreneurs, and especially fledgling entrepreneurs, can understand this saying, is that once a man sets his sights on something that he has a passion for, there is nothing that will stop that man from succeeding. And if you don't have the passion, if you don't have the vision, if you don't have the drive, get out now.
Yeah, so
it's not worth it.
I think that applies to women too. We don't want to offend.
Men or women, yes, absolutely.
So there's many types of people in the world, and I've encountered this many times. Like, I am not built to work for somebody else. Every time I have, not every time, most of the times I've been fired. And it's because I say things that just, they pop into my head, like we really should be doing this for efficiency, or we should be doing something else here. And people don't like to be pushed like that.
True.
And so it causes friction. And just the same as that, there are people who I have working for me who dream of being self-employed, but they don't have the courage. It causes too much stress in their life and everything to do it. And it's a very stressful thing to be self-employed. You are relying on yourself and on what all you can pull together to make it happen.
Yes.
And so like, what happens when, I've got a question that I'm going to do a video on here in a little bit, but I'm going to ask you kind of the same thing. What happens when you get burned out? What happens when you feel burned out, but you are the business owner?
That's an excellent question, and you really have to guard yourself against that. First of all, but there are times where you have to just keep pressing forward. The next few days, for example, for me, are going to be very, very strenuous, very, very taxing. And the reason for that is because we have a lot of caterings that are lined up and everything for the weekend.
Oh, good, you're catering too.
Yes, we do a lot of catering. We have one catering party, for example, for 200 people. Now, in one day, we've done 650 people catering. All right, so there's a lot of logistics, and there's a lot of planning. There's a lot of, staying true to your mission and your recipes and everything to get that accomplished without cutting any corners. So what's going to happen is I'm going to get through those 2 days, and you've got to plan ahead, and you've got to carry this through. I believe this with all of my heart. Got to take the time for yourself.
Absolutely.
So what's going to happen is we're going to go ahead, we're going to work like crazy for the next 3 days to get those done, and then Sunday, which of course is Mother's Day, we are going to be closed. All right, why would we close on Mother's Day? Well, because we want to and we can. Okay, so we're going to be closed.
Another benefit of being an entrepreneur is that if you want to turn people away, you can.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're doing, but you need personal time.
Yes. So
Sundays are my time. I'm like, I'm not working today.
Yes.
You end up working some anyway.
Yeah.
But it's my day off.
Which we all do.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, my wife and I, we're going to take the day off. We're gonna turn the cell phone off. We're gonna turn the computers off. We're gonna drive to Delray Beach. We're gonna spend the day with my daughter, and that's gonna be some time for decompression. And then I'll be up and back on Monday morning and ready to go. So it's a juggling act. But if you don't do it, you are going to get burnt out. And the thing about being burnt out is you can only put that on your own 2 shoulders. You have to take responsibility for yourself, for your own well-being.
Right.
And nobody else is going to watch out for you along those lines. Nobody. You've got to watch out for yourself.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of pressure because you're on call 24/7. So something happens here in the middle of the night, who gets a call? You do.
right.
And what do you have to do? You have to come down and check out the broken window or
the fire.
Or whatever.
We had a fire at our first location. It was actually Thanksgiving evening 2 years ago, and I got a phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning, and the fire officer who was in charge of that particular unit at that night called me, and he said, "Mr. Gross, your restaurant is on fire. We would like to have you drive up here as quickly as you possibly
"Holy
can."
shit.
Yes. And I'm freaking out, and of course I'm going 90 miles an hour up through a 45 and everything, hoping that I don't get pulled over. But I had to get there, and nobody else. They didn't call my assistant manager. They called me.
Yeah.
So you got to be prepared for that.
Yeah. So no heavy drinking.
Yes. Or smoking or whatever.
Drugs, whatever it is that you do. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So let's kind of start wrapping it up. But I think you have an expertise in owning a restaurant. You 4 years. I'm calling you a success because you're still here and doing it.
Yes.
And so, to those entrepreneurs who are watching or want to be entrepreneurs, people who are working toward it, what is probably the best piece of advice someone could have given you when you were starting out with the restaurant that would have made a huge difference to you?
Well, that's a very good question. I think if somebody would have come alongside and explained to me, these are things that really you've got to know as a restaurateur. It's a different type of entrepreneurialism than owning a garment shop or a paint distribution company or something like that. The restaurant industry is probably one of the most taxing jobs to have as an entrepreneur, as an owner. And that's because there's so many facets of the business that you have to look at. You not only have to look at your numbers on a daily basis, you've got to look at your food cost, you've got to look at your labor costs on a daily basis, you've got to look at every facet of the business. And honestly, even though I've been in the food business my whole life, I never really realized that at the very beginning.
Well, you don't until you have to do it.
Yes.
Until you're like, you know, this bad stuff's happening over here, I don't know why. And you go and figure it out and you're like, oh, everybody who's successful has figured that out.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. But you know, I will say this, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's been these 4 years have been tremendous. We have nothing but a very, very bright outlook with Frankie's Patriot BBQ. We are looking currently at opening location number 2. We have investors that are actually coming to us now.
Oh, then you're going to have more bosses.
Them, you know what? I think you write that into the contract. You know, who gets to call the shots?
I think you have to. I think you have to. Yeah.
And if I do something like that, it is going to be, look, either I am the boss or nobody's the boss, and I'm not going to go forward with it. I do not want people dictating to me what I do with my recipes.
If they're not okay with that, then they shouldn't invest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, trust my expertise and trust my professionalism, and then we can move forward.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to let's take this up to the camera.
Okay.
Yeah. So just show everybody here. Okay. So what do we got right here?
Okay, we've got our smoked brisket here, and we have our smoked chicken, and then we have our ribs, which we've taken a little bite off of already. Our smoked beans, and we do smoke the beans. They are actually vegetarian beans. They are not.
Oh, my wife would like that.
Yeah.
My wife's vegetarian.
Well,
I don't think I could get her to come in here, but.
Well, this is very cool because
cool.
The reason why we have the vegetarian beans is for people that come in here, husband and wife teams. A lot of times either the husband or the wife might be a vegetarian. We do not put any pork or anything in there, any byproducts. Okay, and then our macaroni and cheese. And then our cornbread, which is a northern style cornbread.
It's very good.
It actually should be called corn cake.
Well, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yes.
It's kind of sweet.
Yes. So those are some of our meats that we have. And I think I'll bite into one of the ribs right now.
Okay. So while he's chowing down, you know that, okay, so I've talked much about the video game industry and about how that people who are making video games, if they're not playing their own games, there's a serious problem with it. And I would think that if you owned a restaurant and you weren't eating your own food, isn't that an indication that something's wrong?
I can eat here every day.
And so, Frankie's Patriot BBQ, BBQ.com. There's a link in the description. You can find it there. It's here in Clearwater. And if you saw this here and you live in the area, come in, bring your family, and say hello to Craig. And tell him you saw the video. And if you feel inspired by what he said, because it resonated with you, with your business and everything, tell him.
Well, let me just finish with this. If Colonel Sanders would have had my recipe for food, he would have been a general.
Very good. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Leave your comments and click the link in the description. Check it out here. And come in and say hi to Craig.
Thank you.